Okay, so hopefully now you can share.
Okay. How are you doing?
Yeah, all right, good. Everything feels quite good at the minute. Kind of got through a bit of a slump over Christmas and New Year, but the energy feels like it's picking up a bit. Like I feel creative, so I'm presuming it's that like the Leo energy and the Venus and the Mars. But I feel inspired.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Creative.
Yeah.
So how's that manifesting?
So I am putting together retreat train the trainer. So kind of building up a new structure for that, which is good. Yeah, obviously means I'm working hard, mentally the cogs are going, so not relaxing that much, but yeah, so creative juices are flowing with that.
Oh, good.
Not easy, but yeah.
I'll show you I mean, you're probably more than aware of the current chart at the moment. But this is actually for Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because we have that full moon in Leo on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So again, when the sun opposes the moon, we get a full moon. And this is in the late degrees of Leo. So the moon is at 27 degrees, nearly 59, so practically 28 degrees of Leo, right at the end of the sign. And we've got the sun in Aquarius right at the end of that sign. So this is quite an interesting week, really, given this. I mean, it's interesting that you say that you feel quite creative. And I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that certainly for about 4 months at the end of 21 and the first month of this year, we had a lot of retrograde planets. So we had a lot of that energy of drag.
Yeah.
So it wasn't easy to get things started or make decisions or get things off the ground or get any traction with anything.
Yeah.
And since the 3rd of February, all the planets are moving forward. They're all moving direct. So when the planets are moving direct, and they will be till May, we have this window of opportunity where we can get things done and get things motion again without that feeling of hurdle and strife and things going wrong. So in some respects, it's a really good time to start creating things. And I'm very much of the mind at the moment that despite everything that's going on in the world and is evidently cranking up in the world, it's more important than ever to focus on some personal goals. Focus on either your personal development or making liaisons with people. So you're reaching out in a business sense to people and networking and this type of thing. And I think it's or just hobbies. Just if you've got a hobby that you've put to one side and you want to do, this is the time to do it. It's a time to kind of balance your energy in that way. So anyway. Yeah. So this moon, so if we think about the full moon, it's always more emotional. Full moons are culmination points. And we had the new moon in Leo back on August the 8th last year. And so something that may have started around that time for you is now coming to a point where it's, do I let this go or do I develop it into something else? And there's a real feeling of endings around this. I mean, there always is around full moons. We get them every month, but there definitely is around this. And I think over the next 2 months, there's a general sense that a lot of things will be coming to an end. A lot of projects, some relationships will be coming to a natural close point. So if we think about the energies in play this week, Leo is very much about the ego. It's very much about the self. It's very much about personal identity. Whereas Aquarius tends to be more about that impersonal energy. So we have personal energy of the sun ruled Leo, and then we have that impersonal Uranian energy. And So this moon is asking us to go for our personal goals, because they're a lot easier at the moment, but also think about the collective. Think about the impersonal. Think about people you don't know. How's it going to impact on others? You know, some really critical choice points are hoving into view this week. And it feels more important because they're what we call squaring the nodes. So this is a time where we either go towards our destiny or start moving towards our destiny, or we stay stuck in something that's very comfortable, which would be, it's not shown on here, but just opposite this point, obviously, is what we call the south node. So around here is the south node, and the south node is where we're comfortable. It's familiar energy. And the karmic impulse in this lifetime is to move towards the north node, is to do things that make you uncomfortable, is take you out of that zone of I can do this and it's so easy and I'm just going to hide and keep doing this thing. So in summation, this full moon is very much about, yes, seeking your personal goals, reaffirming your identity, even carving yourself a new identity, because there's a strong link from the sun to Pluto. So there's a lot of transformation, but it's also about how do I work for the betterment of the collective? How do I think about other people and balance the energy of self and ego against what people need at the moment? And those two things should be feeding your decisions and helping nudge you towards your personal karmic destiny of the North Node. So yeah, it's a big week. It's a big week. And the other thing that's going on Wednesday, on the same day, is this conjunction between Venus and Mars. So goddess of love, you know, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, Mars, meeting up together in the sign of Capricorn. And wherever this is in your chart, and you can get your own chart on astro.com, and you can have a look at where these two are meeting up, there's a sense of some kind of collaboration in that area of your life. And of course, this can be about relationships. It can be, I mean, the energy around Valentine's Day was okay, but not amazing.
Yeah.
But this is much, much better for relationships, collaborations, romance, your social life, getting on with people. There may be some really surprising stuff that happens as a result of this. So watch Wednesday, Thursday, because this energy here is leading into Uranus. And Uranus, as we know, if you've been following these videos previously, is the energy of shock and awe and surprises. So around collaborations, there may be surprises, but they may be nice surprises, because this is a really lovely energy. And then, you know, Venus is also feeding energy into Neptune. So there's something very kind of romantic about this energy. It's a really good time to meet somebody. If you're single, it's time to mingle. It's time to get out there and meet somebody. Or if you've been edging around somebody, it's maybe time to take a bold, surprising move around that relationship, or somebody else may do that for you. So yeah, and then we've also just had Mercury move into the sign of Aquarius. So Anne-Marie was just saying that she's getting all these ideas. Well, Mercury's just moved into an air sign, which represents ideas, thought, communication. And so you're going to find that your mind lifts off from now and for the next month or so, and you're going to be full of ideas and inspiration and creative thought. So it's a really good time for entrepreneurs to tap into that energy of Mercury at the moment. Because Mercury's so close to Pluto, you're going to find that there's a lot of stuff that you think of now and communicate now is going to be very transformational. Great manifestative energy. And then on Friday, the sun moves into Pisces. So the sun's been crossing through Aquarius, of course, for the last month. And Aquarian energy is very distancing in a lot of ways. It's more about the collective and other people and healing. It's why so many Aquarians actually make great healers. A lot of my clients who've got strong Aquarian placements are nurses, or they're alternative or holistic health practitioners. And that's because they have this energy of wanting to heal the world effectively. Whereas personal relationships, sometimes, not all the time, personal relationships for a lot of Aquarians can sometimes be a bit challenging.
Yeah.
And so we've had this energy of wanting to heal things, wanting to put things up right, not quite knowing what to do, all the past month. And then on Friday, we move into this watery energy of Pisces, which brings a feeling of compassion and really thinking about others, and real healing energy that we can tap into for the next month. More of an emotional energy, so we're reconnecting with our emotions. Potentially we're reconnecting with other people, whether that's our partners, our friends, or whatever. And it's a more sociable energy than perhaps we've had since Christmas, since the new year. So it's a nice time to get together with the girlies and go out and just, talk nothings. So yeah, there's a lot changing this week. I mean, superficially, there's just this feeling of things coming to a head midweek, very much. Look at what's going on in Canada. That situation's escalating. That's a lot to do with this moon energy, this showy, leonine, emotional moon energy. But on a personal level, it's about, okay, what can I do now? What can I do that's actually going to give me personal fulfillment, but actually is going to be good for other people? And this is only going to increase as the sun ingresses and goes through Pisces. So yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah. So we've got a few people watching. So let us know if you missed the beginning, how these energies are affecting you right now. So I was just explaining to my astrology mama, Nicola Crawford, who you can find. We'll put links to her. She offers astrology readings and she uses tarot as well. And we were just talking about how I feel personally like a bit of a lift, moving from those heavy energies we had over Christmas, especially I think it was Christmas Day. That I think it was Venus met up with Pluto. I mean, it couldn't have got any more do I want to be with you or don't I want to be with you right now energy. And we've kind of moving out of that, and this Leo energy opposite the sun, what that's kind of speaking to me about a little bit, Leo moon, the Leo is all about the pride, the ego, it's the strength and the tarot, it's how we want to show up and be creative and be on stage. And when it's our moon, it can be our deeper feelings. It's not necessarily that we project out into the world. That's more of our sun energy. So this talks to me a little bit about the selfishness that we can all have with Leo, the pride, potentially what we can do for ourselves, versus, as Nicola's saying, the sun in Aquarius, which is the humanitarian. So maybe we have this bit of a conflict. That Leo moon is what I would normally do for myself versus, oh no, but I have this urge that it needs to be shared and the benefits need to spread further than just me. So I'm feeling quite inspired at the minute, quite creative. And you say about collaborations with the Venus and the Mars meeting up, that's definitely more on my radar, where I was in a bit of a funk, probably many were last year, did not want to be with other people pretty much. But this year I want to go out and I want to network and I want to meet people and I want to experience new things. And I've already started to do that. And life is taking on a different lens for me, which is amazing. And I feel it. I feel like I want to do it now. So with that Venus and the Mars, it's really interesting because it's in Capricorn, and Capricorn represents like the career, the 10th house, where we are seen, where we want to be seen. And Venus and Mars, especially because we have Pluto and Venus happen. Was it Christmas Day?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that was really tough. I struggled with that a lot. That energy really I did not enjoy that energy. But now we've got Venus and Mars, but it's close, but it's probably too far an orb, do you think, to be affecting it? Or
Venus and Mars are exactly conjunct on Wednesday.
what about with the Pluto? Is that too far?
It is. It's a little bit out of orb.
Yeah.
And so out of orb is, it's just like, how close are they? With the planets exert influences on each other when they're within certain degrees of each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit far.
It's a little bit too far. Yeah.
Nonetheless, Pluto is very much in play.
Yeah.
And so, when you're looking at a significant date, you look at what all the planets are doing, because it acts like a symphony. So yes, I mean, we've got that Pluto energy, haven't we, there, kind of feeding energy also into the North Node. So the North Node is key.
Yeah, we could say then potentially where Capricorn falls in your chart, it's where you kind of do business, not necessarily like, run your business, but it's where you might do business with people. So that can be in communication, the way you communicate with your family, the transactional stuff that happens in our life. And with the Venus and Mars there, can be quite a harmonious energy, especially with all the other Neptune and the Uranus and the nice energy that's feeding in. So yeah, it's interesting to see, if this falls in different, I mean, I can relate to it so strongly because Capricorn is in my 6th and 7th house. So it's what I do every day. And it's all the relationships I have, business and personal. So I can see how this is all taking shape for me right now.
Yeah, and I think it's squaring your natal Pluto. So there's going to be a lot of transformation for you personally arising out of this.
Yeah. And with the nodes being, that communication that everybody collectively will be having to their nodes, because we've just moved into that area now. So with the Taurus North Node, it's all about the security, the senses, how safe we feel in that Taurus, versus the Scorpio. Is that right? Taurus and Scorpio.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. They've both got a kind of an impact on security, and how we feel. I mean, Taurus tends to be material. Scorpio's like security of the emotions. So it's and the shadow we project to the world. So versus our real self. But yeah, I mean, there's been so much clearing out of all that. You're talking about security, and with that Venus retrograde that was going on at the back end of 21,
yes,
which finished on the 29th of January. That's why we all felt so like, really crap, and what really has value to us anymore? What do we really want? Is it financial or and so many people are saying at the moment that 2 years ago I was scrabbling up some great big corporate tree, and now that's not my priority. The next promotion, the next pay rise is not the priorities. I just want to live a more simplified life. And there's this big clearing out of all the dross and all the stuff that clogs up our lives, basically. And so I think this moon is very much about that energy of, okay, I've made some big realizations about what is important to me and what I value. And so now, how am I going to share that? What am I going to do with that energy?
Yeah, definitely. I can see that happening with people who come through the Soul Awakening Academy, and I've started doing some 6 months spiritual guidance readings, And, you know, everybody always wants to know what their kind of purpose is. Because it's funny, because a lot of people, not everybody, but in some way they have that inner drive and desire to achieve something, and we need to figure out what's wrapped up, you know, what are we placing around this achievement and this alignment to the soul purpose, you know. And it probably, you know, I don't know, you'd have to speak individually to people, but it's going to be satisfaction, you know, it's going to be peace, it's going to be fulfillment, you know, it's all those high vibrational emotions that a human makes the best of themselves by experiencing those emotions. So that's normally what the soul is on a quest to, you know, achieve or attain. And we place it in the soul's purpose, which can be our north node and our south node. So, you know, with things like knocking on our door in this way, forcing us to pay attention to the urges that we might have, then you know, when is there a right time to do it? And I guess this would you say this would be the right time to make the changes, or should we wait until 2 weeks when it's a new moon?
Well, I mean, I personally, I mean, it's so subjective, it's so difficult. You know, it's very much on an individual level. But if you look at the energies generally, we're still in a Mercury retrograde shadow until the end of February. So 2 weeks away, it will coincide with that new moon. So I just think that perhaps now is a time for just thinking around details, making the connections that you need to make, laying the groundwork. And then I think March is potentially a good time for moving forward. But it depends very much on your belief system, but it depends on what it is that you're planning to do as well. I mean, the new moon that's coming up is on March the 2nd, and it's in Pisces. It's the Pisces new moon. So Pisces is very much an energy of compassion, of healing, of spirituality. And so, you know, you've got to align whatever it is you're starting with those energies, otherwise there'll be a conflict.
Yeah.
So I think early March is a good time to do something on a personal level. I think this is very much an investigative time for the next couple of weeks. However, we can't get away from the fact that there is some really heavy stuff happening out there in the matrix, in the 3D world, that's going to impact us all. And a lot of this is North Node in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus stuff, which is all about security and finances. What do you think?
Yeah, I think as always, some people flourish and some people sink, and that's just the nature of life. Yeah, who knows what's in store right now? Things seem kind of okay, but I think potentially going further into the year with price rises in different areas, there are going to be people who will struggle and be forced to make massive changes in their life. These things go inside, you know, they happen, don't they, throughout periods of time. You know, as a society, we get forced into facing choices we may have made where we've overstretched ourselves, or we've taken a risk because, you know, out there looks really buoyant, and, you know, and then all of a sudden the rug is always pulled under your feet. So, you know, this could be where the Taurus North Node security comes in, you know, with it in the same place as Uranus, you know, massive changes to our security, but, you know, without that feeling of uncomfortableness, we don't grow. So it could be that we all experience it in some way, and every way is different and on different scales for people. but we could see that as a chance for us to grow as a collective and individually as well. So it's how it's how it plays out. I know I'm definitely thinking about security at the moment. I'm thinking long term, you know, that really is on my mind at the moment, thinking about it. How can I get more assured that I'm going to be okay financially, you know? And I don't know particularly where that feeling is coming from, but it's definitely there. And I was thinking about it actually, now you come to mention it, I was thinking, why am I feeling this way? Like, is it true? You know what I mean? Like, always question where my thoughts and feelings are coming from. And I thought, okay, if I did have £1 million in the bank, would I feel any different? And actually the answer was no. So the anxiety was coming from me. It's not a truism for me. It's if you had £1 million in the bank, I think I'd still feel that angst inside. So I don't know where that's actually coming from. It's coming from a different place than
I agree. And
having enough money in the bank.
I think our emotions have an enormous effect on finance, ebbs and flows. And I just, you know, I agree with you about this experience, and that we're all experiencing what's going on at the moment in very different ways. And there's definitely this like bifurcation of the way that people are thinking about now. And that will, I think, end in the type of experience they have, because in a way we've got to learn to live with a lot of uncertainty for a very long time, because we have, you know, Pluto in the late degrees of Capricorn. And so Capricorn, as we, you know, probably say every month when we speak about this, is all about structures and institutions and conservative values, things that, you know, that have been around for a long time. And then Pluto's this wrecking ball that's becoming stronger in that late degree of Capricorn. And so the things that we held in esteem, maybe, or the things that we always thought were there, certainly between now and 2024 are going to come down, basically, which is going to cause a lot of unrest with people and disbelief. But also Pluto won't have finished his job by then. He doesn't actually, you know, he's got a few years to, but this isn't going, you know, we've moved into this Aquarian age. And, you know, these kind of massive transitions don't just happen in a couple of years. We've got probably a couple of decades of uncertainty. Not saying it's always going to be this intense and like this, but, you know, planning is going to be very, very difficult for a long while to come.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's about maybe trust, you know, it's actually, you know, that thinking about Pluto, it's releasing that need for security, because that's the old way of thinking. And it's stepping into a place of trust and not trying to hang on to the outside reflection of security. Because let's face it, we might feel secure, but it's only momentarily. Something else comes along in our life that shifts the sand beneath our feet, no matter what that is. We don't ever live in that place of feeling blissful because we're secure. It's a false reality, feeling secure. What does it even mean? So it has to come from inside, and that's definitely something like I'm thinking about, because it's present in me at the moment. So you know, our reality tells us we have to have certain things. I mean, that's why people chase money and power. If it makes
but I
it
think
feel
people
secure.
are reevaluating that now. I think they're definitely reevaluating it.
I agree.
And you know, to me, I think it's this balance that's been asked of us at this time, with all this Venusian energy, with the Uranian energy, the Plutonian energy, very much of kind of, you know, paying heed to like not falling into a scarcity mentality and just living in fear and making all your decisions from a point of fear, but also at the other side of that continuum, paying heed to things that are real. Because I think within this spiritual community, and a lot of, you know, from a lot of spiritual advisors, there's a lot of spiritual bypassing that's going on at the moment, where they're just telling people to raise your vibration and it'll all be okay. You know, and it's kind of like, no, because we're living with it, we're in this like meat suit in a 3D matrix, here to experience things in a very real way. So yes, it's kind of, I think raising your vibration is good, not falling into fear is good, you know, but you know, keeping out of that scarcity mentality is good. But also, I mean, I'll give you for example. I've done an awful lot of readings recently where people are thinking of making really big purchases.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to a client the other day, and he was just about to buy his first house. And so in terms of sticking, you know, in his first job, buying his first house, you know, borrowing, you know, nearly 300K. And to me, it's a case of, you know, although I won't give total financial advice, you've got to be aware of what's going on in the market in the real 3D as well, because interest rates are going to go crazy. No two ways about it. Inflation's going to go crazy. It already is. We're actually in a depression, not a recession at the moment, which is going to be long and deep. And so it's that, you know, yes, you know, make good decisions for yourself by taking notice of what is going on without letting that trigger you into fear. And without letting that trigger you into that kind of like, oh my God, I don't know where my next morsel's coming from. Yeah. So yeah, the balancing act is absolutely key, and the self-awareness and self-consciousness is key.
Yeah. I'm kind of studying a little bit of the Kabbalah at the minute, doing the principles of that, and they talk about the opponent within the self, and so interesting. Like for me, I know, like I've got this weird opponent that lives inside me. It's like self-sabotage, you know. So if I say black, the opponent will say white. You call it the inner critical, whatever you want to call it, subpersonalities, loads of different names for it, but yeah, I'm like, Jesus, why have I got this such strong, like, opposing force in myself? It's so weird. It's so random. But, you know, I guess we've all got that to some level. And, you know, it's just interesting to think, you know, where does that come from? Like, I've yet to, well, there will be people out there, but somebody who's like their own biggest fan, you know, maybe that Leo, you know, that Leo sun, maybe that Leo moon, you know, they'd be their own biggest fan, their own like inner coach and biggest support. But, you know, for most of us, we have that like duality. Yeah, I want to do this. But then there's like this other part of you that kicks in and says, yeah, but what about this? You know, what if this happens? What if that happens? And sometimes it can be that fight, you know, between, you know, what you really want to do and what your deepest fears won't allow you to do.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle, the biggest karmic high jump in this world, because I think that society has deliberately been set up like that to undermine us from day one, from, you know, our early influences around us when we were kids and things that happened then, to the whole school system. It's not empowering. It's quite the opposite, because the powers that be don't want a nation of free thinking, empowered, really free people, quite obviously. You know, they want us full of self-doubt and like, oh, I don't know whether I can actually do that, and whether I'm capable of that, because that keeps us as worker bees effectively. It stops us like realizing how powerful we actually are and what we're capable of. So I totally agree with you. It's that inner, you know, voice, that inner demon, that inner saboteur that stops us time and time again. And I think learning to master that is true mastery.
Definitely true mastery. Yeah. These things I just find fascinating, like the human mind, and you know, where our energies come. It's just amazing. I mean, I went on a weekend last weekend, and we worked with tantra energy, prana energy, and I mean, what I witnessed and what happened to me as well, like on a personal level, was unbelievable, like awakening that energy, and somebody being, you know, above your body but in your energy field, and manipulating your energy, where my whole body was shaking like a crazy person, and it was unbelievable. So, you know, we can't see our energy body, but it's absolutely there. And it made me think, how easily am I influenced, you know, when I'm outside? Because I know I'm quite I'm an empath. So when I'm out and about, my senses are on and they're out there. And I'm thinking, like, who is getting in my field? Who am I allowing to be in my energy? Who am I taking with me? Who have I got with me? You know,
seen and unseen, you see, because I personally, my personal belief is that there are entities that kind of, you know, it's almost like they spot people, and they spot people's weaknesses, and they you know, they latch on there. I mean, this is why alcohol is called spirit. Because literally when we're in some kind of weakened state, like when we're like on drugs or drinking or whatever, it's easier for other things to latch into our energy.
When our vibrations low and dense. Definitely. And I've experienced that myself with entity attachment many years ago. It was horrible, but it's true. And you know, there are so many unseen energies. We don't know what's hitting us right now, you know, with the radio waves, the Wi-Fi, or, you know, all the rays. We can't see them, but they're there. So science proves we are not just flesh and bone. We are energy. That's pretty much all we are. But it's understanding that about our own energy, and understanding what's not ours and what is ours, and accepting it as well. You know, I have to accept that there's a part of me that opposes me, you know, rather than being mental conflict with it. Just be aware of it, you know, and deal with it at the time, whether that's through laughing about it to myself, or trying to go deeper with it and figuring out where is that coming from right now. So, you know, trying to maintain your own energy, it's a constant battle.
I agree. And also, I mean, before we move on and do any questions, I also think that, you know, we need to be very careful about who we follow spiritually, because all this love and light business to me is, you know, I'll just call it as I see it, I think it's complete bollocks. You know, there's a time when you need to acknowledge the dark within, and when you need to use, you know, anger in a very kind of righteous way, rather than just like, you know, this whole turn the other cheek stuff, and like, you know, and don't be judgmental. And no, you have it, you know, these are survival skills to me. So I just think at the moment that, you know, with what we're going through, we can't love and light our way out of it. We have to face the darkness and accept the darkness within.
I mean, the love and light, you know, I haven't necessarily experienced that like myself, because I wouldn't say I have the ability to let everything go, you know. But when you want to do self-work and be on a path to understanding yourself better, then you have to see situations as maybe a mirror or whatever, but whatever gets triggered in you, it's always an opportunity to think about that for yourself. Like, not everything is true, and everybody, like, not everything is true that we think it is about a situation or a person. It's actually coming from our own referential index based on our belief system. So if we think something about one person, the person sat next to us might think absolutely the opposite. Everybody, we all have these really individual experiences about situations and people based on what we've experienced previously. So it's that in itself is an opportunity to go, do I want to live in the past? Because those thoughts and feelings could be based on past experiences. Do I want to reframe, bring awareness to what I'm feeling right now about this thing? Is there another way of seeing it? Because actually that can create a new you if you want it to, if you're prepared to work on that for long enough. And always think, is this coming from past me, old me, to create a new me?
Yeah, and the other way of saying that is, yeah, but some people are just dickheads anyway, aren't they? And I think I agree with that up to a point, but I also think that, and this as an empath, it's not just about reframing past experiences that lead to the present thought. We have different energetic fields, and sometimes our energetic field does not mesh with that of another person. And
Definitely.
we feel
Agree.
you can walk into a room and there's that immediate, I don't like this person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and we all do it.
It's not based on anything because they haven't opened the trap yet. It's just like literally, or we all have that friend who rings us up and drains us. And every time you see their name pop up on your phone, you're like, no, because at the end of it, you're going to have to go and lay down for 2 hours.
That is very true. That is very true. Yeah.
So it's about looking after, this is very leonine, actually. It's about looking after your energy.
It's true. It's very true.
And not spiritual bypassing, not kind of like, yeah, it's okay to feel anger. It's all right to get angry. It's all right to not like somebody.
Yeah, it's true.
It just is.
Yeah, and that was another thing I was thinking about recently about, wonder why it is, some people you can sit next to and you just go, oh, totally resonate with you. And then others you're like, and I think personally, it's all to do with like past life stuff. We've been in each other's company before, so it feels comfortable, because with other people, it's just like, get out my space. And on this course that I went on, I did that like self-care thing, and I was like, I cannot be in this person's energy. I'm gonna have to go and sit over there on my own, and I can't absorb it because it's too much and I'm not doing it to myself. Whereas normally I would sit there and be like, thinking, nice. Oh my God.
Nice. Yeah, being spiritual does not, it took me years to work this one out. So now I am like I am. Being spiritual does not equate to being nice.
No. No. Oh, we've got a few people who've commented. So hi everyone. Kat, she's saying she remembered when she had her first baby and realized I had to protect her. I had this terrifying experience that some other energy wanted to take over my body. I was afraid to fall asleep. Yeah, it's funny you should say that. I had a similar experience after having, I had had a similar experience after having my little girl, actually, about that. So yeah, I know where you're coming from. Paula says, I've literally done a meditation this morning to connect with my shadow because of how I was feeling. Yeah. There's Tara Brock does the rain mindfulness thing about, I can't think what it stands for now, but you can look it up. It's online. That can help with accepting thoughts. Rachel says, we are energetic vibrational beings, first and foremost. Light and dark to exist. In the contrast, we need to understand who we are. We've always had choice as to whether we choose darkness or light. Yes. Beth says, I'm glad you feel like that too. Thought it was just me and that I'm not very advanced. No, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself very advanced at all. So if you spoke to I don't know, a master they could think we are complete minions by not having have achieved. I mean, obviously they've been where we are, but you know, I don't know. You know, all I say is everything's an experience for us to think about ourselves, and I do actually think 90% that who we see is a projection of ourselves, and they are just mirroring back to us something that lives in us. So yeah, I do think that quite a bit.
You know, it's an interesting word as well. You know, a spiritual master, a spiritual guru, these self-appointed masters and gurus. If anything this time is teaching us, it's that we have it all within already.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of the people that we have maybe looked up to before or followed have really unveiled themselves over the last 2 years and shown who they are. You know, a lot of them. I mean, you know, I could speak out of turn, but I won't. I mean, there's so many names that I could name that are just not here for people's good.
Yes, there are a lot of people.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah. It's interesting because we place a lot of power and adoration in the hands, and power, I think, is such a dual. That's where probably the light and the dark reside, in power, because you give somebody that amount of power, you know, unless they are, well, number one, they wouldn't want it, they wouldn't attach to it. But I think it's such a that's where the light and dark contrast lives for me, is that power. You know, what's their next level? You know, I don't know. I can understand if you have that amount of power, how you might then use it in the wrong way, and it might not even be completely intentional to start with. But yeah, there's something in power for me that I think, ooh, I can understand why
gurus over the years, haven't there, who kind of like, you know, I think people who seek power anyway are slightly unhinged.
Yeah.
You know, just by the nature of it.
Yeah, and you know, if you look into someone's history, you will kind of want to know how power has played out for them. Have they been powerless before? How have they used their power in the past? What are they lacking? You know, what are they seeking? What are they needing? You know, all those kind of deep desire emotions need to be addressed for someone to be able to have that power and use it for benevolent only. We never know what goes on in someone's mind, no matter what.
No,
we don't.
But I think that's the real sickness of our society, is that we all, you know, we're always looking outside of ourselves for someone to lead us, to inspire us, and it's kind of, it's all within. It's all within.
It is. It is. So I'm going to put this on YouTube. I'm going to post it out, but it's going to be in like a Valentine's newsletter. So you said before that we've gone totally off like tangent, but oh yeah, that little thing called love that everybody wants to, yeah. So you said before, this is a good time to meet someone, and with it being a Capricorn, that makes me think it's either going to be hard work, or you're prepared to put the hard work in for it to be.
No, I think relationships made under these auspices will last. You know, they'll have legs. They've got a real chance of kind of lasting, because Capricorn, Kronos, rules time and longevity. So yeah, good time to meet somebody.
What would you say to somebody who is single and is looking for love right now?
I'd say get on a dating app, really, because honestly, everything works through energy. I've got no problems with the idea of dating apps. You know, and energetically, it's really, it can be really strong at the moment, that you can, as long as your energy's sorted, you're going to attract somebody on the right vibration. I mean, with that Venus-Neptune connection, the Mars-Venus connection, it's a really, really good time. Just be careful. You've got any planets that are accentuated by Uranus, because especially Venus or your moon, you know, you've got to make sure that you know you're not attracting people who are a bit nutsky.
Yeah, it's always a danger on there. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really good time to meet somebody. Really good time.
Good, good, good. Okay, so Bex is saying allegedly this is when the divine unions are happening now. So I would say yeah, with the Mars and the Venus. And that's happening for a
Absolutely.
while, isn't it? It's not just a fleeting romance they're having.
We've got a really intense couple of days of that around Wednesday and Thursday, bleeding into Friday morning. But then, yes, I mean, they're pretty much close together for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a good time. It's a good time to meet somebody. Definitely. Who you know will be, you know, if you've done the work during that Venus retrograde, if you've done the inner work and thought, I'm not going into that type of relationship ever again, I know the red flags, I know my own worth, then now is a really good time to meet somebody.
Well, Venus retrograde really did show me like all the flaws that I've got in when it comes to intimacy and relationships. So it just showed me how much fucking work that I need to do personally. You know, so thanks very much.
we're all an ongoing project, aren't we? You know, I mean,
yeah.
God.
It did all my insecurities and jealousy. Oh, horrible. God. So yeah. Shall we pull some cards for this lunation?
Yep. What deck are you using?
It's a new one called Golden Dawn.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, good. I should have just
because they're not positive, are they?
I should have just pulled one card because I got the Ten of Pentacles, which is amazing, fulfilled, you know, abundance, got it all. The Princess of Swords, which could be a bit of a side swipe. And then we got the Ten of Swords. Shit. Which is disappointment, defeat. What do you make of that? Like, ooh.
I mean, I personally, I think it's, you know, I tend to think more on a kind of global level about these energies rather than thinking about people's personal energies. If I ever do like general card readings, I'm always thinking what's going on in the news, what's this development there, blah, 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 blah. And so my cards aren't good either.
Okay.
So when you started laughing, I knew you pulled crappy cards, because I just think there's a message there about, I mean, look at that final card. It looks like the fall of Rome, that Ten of Swords that you had there. And that's exactly what's going on. And so, like, I'll just show you my card as well. I've got the Queen of Wands, which is this energy of kind of like moving forward. I've also got the Knight of Cups.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice energy.
Yeah.
Nice emotional energy. And then I've got the Five of Wands, which is the battle. So it just, you know, so I think personally, we've still got a lot to work. I mean, a card I'm pulling a lot from this particular deck at the moment is the Eight of Wands, which shows rapid forward movement. But in this deck, it happens to show this bird flying through loads of arrows coming at it. And that's pretty much that kind of energy there, which is pretty much the Ten of Swords energy. We've still got a hell of a lot to untangle before we can move forward.
Yes.
You know, so it's all, you know, so people keep saying to me, but everything's changing, the restrictions have been lifted, everything feels great. And I think this is the false light. I think this is the false light. I think we're about to be plunged into something that's not so great. And so you've really got to kind of know thyself and just be very sure of where you're going on a personal level to navigate these slings and arrows. I think, over the next few months. It's not going to feel easy over the next 2 to 3 months at all.
Yeah.
But you've still got to keep going. You've still got to keep your personal goals, hobbies, ambitions, you know, relationships strong.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about security, and you know, it comes back to having that inner security. You know, what are you sure about of yourself? You know, take everything away. If your home was taken, if all your money was taken, what can you be certain of in yourself that you will get up the next day and be and do? So for me, I'm quite resilient. I'm used to getting back up again and starting again. So I'm quite assured that, you know, I can do that when it's called upon within me. So for me, I can think about those things, take my focus off externally, what's going on that's making me feel insecure, and think about, well, if those things weren't there, what am I sure of? Well, I'm sure that I can still love my kids. I'm sure that I can, you know, have the ability to dust myself off and start something new and do it to the best of my abilities. So try to start to cultivate the things that you value about yourself, and your strengths with that Leo is about strength, and taking away the false perception of the outside world bringing you security, because that's always changing. But who you are on the inside should pretty much remain constant. And
it's a good time to acquire practical skills.
Yeah,
it's a really good time to do that.
Yeah, practical skills.
Basics, practical skills.
Yeah, trying to keep your own energy intact by not overly emotionally reacting to things and to people. You know, it's definitely something I've been trying to work through the last couple of years, for sure. So always checking in, what's going on, why am I being triggered, and I'm working with it. So we will do a post to you, Nicola, and you know, you offer readings, and I'm going to be doing the 6 months guidance that starts today. So I've got one spot left, and we will jump on again soon, I'm sure.
All right, lovely.
Oh, take care. Thanks for your time. Bye,
And
everyone.
you.
Thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye.